Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are going to be assessing the latest Kaspa news and bullishness, as well as looking at the wider market and assessing the positions of Bitcoin and Ethereum particularly. We will also be considering the question, when is Kaspa's next pump? If you're new, please help out the channel by hitting that subscribe button. And without further delay, let's get into it. Let's begin, as we always do, by taking a look at Kaspa's chart and the 8-month fractal. As we can see from the recent price action, there continues to be chop around this 14 to 16 cents range. In my last two Kaspa videos, I've discussed in depth the 8-month fractal that Kaspa seems to be following. Basing my analysis off this fractal, we are currently in the final shakeout region, which is where a lot of people are considering selling, and if they do, they're likely going to be regretting their actions in a month or so from now, and I'll show you why. That's because this fractal suggests that the next significant move for Kaspa will be a pump to a next major peak, which should be north of the 40 cents range in my opinion. Personally, I've been assessing the likelihood that this next major move could occur at some point in the next month of July. Looking at the previous 8-month Kaspa cycles, this on screen right here is the first full cycle that we had between October 2022 and June 2023, and its major peak occurred 50 days after the halfway point of that cycle. Now, looking at the cycle that followed that, from June 2023 to February 2024, this major peak occurred in November 2023, which was exactly 40 days after the 4-month halfway point in that 8-month cycle. So, based off the logic that each cycle the major peak is getting closer to the halfway 4-month point, we could estimate that we could reach a cycle top as soon as 30 days from this recent halfway point. As you can see from the blue line, this occurred on the 10th of June. Therefore, add 30 days to that would take us to the 10th of July. So from around this 10th of July onwards stage to the end of July, I think that will be a great sweet spot that we could be seeing the next major peak. However, you could argue that it's not as simple as that, and that exact date is probably not very accurate. While I do think that a major peak has a decent chance of occurring in July, whether it be mid or late July, we have to take a look at how the rest of the market is doing. And by that, I mean looking mainly at Bitcoin and Ethereum, which we'll get onto in a minute. But first, in my personal opinion, July, the green box, is the most probable sweet spot that I think we'll find. But if we do take a more pessimistic view of the wider crypto market, there's a chance that the Kaspa major peak could occur during this purple box in August. And finally, in the worst case scenario, based off the 8-month fractals, the latest point that we could be seeing Kaspa hit its major peak would likely be in September. However, I do believe that this is pretty unlikely, and we will most likely see a pump much sooner than that, hopefully in July. Right now, so heading over to Bitcoin, as we know, the ETFs were passed in January, and since then have been pumping billions of institutional money into Bitcoin, which has ultimately sent the price from the 40k region all the way up to the $60,000 to $75,000 region. However, the inflows have slowed down now, and the recent Bitcoin dumping is due to the fact that these institutions are now selling some of their Bitcoin in short term as of June. So here is a very useful cash flow table for the ETFs in June so far the last couple weeks, and taking a look at the last column, you can see the total net flow of each day. The red numbers are outflows, therefore, so since June the 7th-ish, almost every day we have been seeing institutions selling millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. This has ultimately created a downward selling pressure on the entire market, which explains our recent correction to the downside. In my opinion, this isn't much of a concern. However, it will mean that maybe for the next few weeks or month or so, we are going to carry on seeing a bit of chop in the market as Bitcoin bounces around this region. And who knows, we could potentially see Bitcoin coming down as low as 60k, but it would be unlikely to go any further than that in my opinion. And the likelihood is soon these ETFs will start buying back at these cheaper prices. Maybe perhaps a bounce of 61k and then back up to 70k, but who knows. It's going to be a bit of sideways action for a little bit, so just remain patient with that. Some have said that potentially the Bitcoin ETF outflows could be linked to the Ethereum ETF trading that is very close to starting. The SEC have recently suspended their investigation into Ethereum for calling it a security, This is super bullish news, as it means that Ethereum remains to be a commodity and therefore will likely pave the way for ETF trading acceptance within the next couple weeks. In fact, actually, many have suggested that the start of July, more specifically July 2nd, could be when we see Ethereum ETFs begin trading. So ultimately, very, very bullish stuff, which will no doubt create some bullish momentum for the wider altcoin market, and perhaps Bitcoin might start to lose its dominance. In terms of the way that liquidity and cash flows in and out of crypto, you can take a look at this graphic here. As you can see, money usually flows into Bitcoin, then into Ethereum. When the Ethereum ETFs do pass, that will no doubt bring in a lot of attention and investment into Ethereum. And thus, this will likely culminate in more money flowing down into the other large cap altcoin cryptos, like the top 30. Currently, Kaspa sits in 26th place and in my opinion is the best project in the entire market. So there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that it too will have lots of growing attention towards it, likely as this Ethereum ETF could serve as a catalyst for Kaspa's next pump to that major peak that we were just talking about. Ultimately though, it must be taken into consideration that there will be a lag time for these altcoins pumping as the ETF trading begins for Ethereum. But July and August could be huge for major altcoins, particularly Kaspa. And since the technicals are suggesting that Kaspa is gearing up for its major peak soon, just make sure that you remain patient even at this sideways choppy action right now and don't sell. If anything, this is a time to buy more. Moving on to some recent Kaspa news. As of the 21st of June, Kaspa's hash rate hit a staggering 374 petahash per second. As you know, this means the network is becoming rapidly more and more secure as more people are providing computational power to mine Kaspa, as well as suggesting the fact that adoption continues to grow and attention towards Kaspa mining is also growing. As I always speak about in my Kaspa videos, an increasing hash rate is extremely bullish because often price follows closely behind it with a slight lag time, meaning price should soon catch up and overtake the hash rate on the logarithmic price hash rate chart that you can see on screen here. By the way, the hash rate is the blue line and the price line is the grey line. Now, I just wanted to take some time to point out the insane scalability of Kaspa with its ridiculously fast speeds and low fees. Here's a transaction that sent roughly $4 million worth of Kaspa from one unknown address to another. The transfer took a fraction of a single second and only incurred a fee of 0.000032 Kas, which is equivalent to 0.00046 cents. And here, another transaction of roughly $1.8 million worth of Kaspa was sent in under 1 second with a fee of less than 1 cent. This type of scalability is like nothing we have ever seen in the crypto market, and industry giants like Solana and Ethereum are undeniably inferior and undoubtedly one day will have their positions taken from them by Kaspa. In terms of the Kaspa Rust migration, we still have not hit 100%. However, I do believe it could happen anytime very, very soon. Likely within a few weeks, maybe even days. And I do believe that tier 1 spot listings like Binance, Kraken, Crypto.com and OKX are all just around the corner of Rust's completion. So hopefully that happens fairly soon. And those of you who watch my regular Kaspa videos, you will know that once that migration is completed, Kaspa will finally be able to get it on its mainnet and it will finally be able to carry out that 10 block per second speeds, which is a 10x increase from its current block speeds, which is just incredibly bullish, as you know. In other news, the KRC20 open beta should be going live soon. As far as I know, there's no official date yet, but very soon we will be able to trade an array of tokens being built on Kaspa's network, as well as stablecoins that are also very soon coming, as I discussed in my previous Kaspa video. For your information, a new website has recently launched by a Kaspa community dev member called Kaspador, and the website is called kastools.com. You can use this as a handy tool to track all the new KRC20 tokens that are getting ready to launch on the KRC20 once it goes live, as well as developers can use this site to calculate their own tokenomics for the projects that they're planning on launching, as well as minting tools and others. By the way, developers are able to use multiple languages including JavaScript, Python and Go to create these KRC20 contracts. This means that KRC20 is very accessible and easy for developers to develop on in a coding language that they are comfortable with. As it stands so far, there are currently 377 tokens ready to launch launch on the KRC20 once the open beta begins. So you can already see the great interest that Kaspa's ecosystem development is creating already. Ultimately, very, very bullish news. So holding on to your Kaspa bag and even buying more at today's current price is without a doubt an exceptional bargain, particularly given the fact that ideally within the next 2 months we should be seeing a major peak for Kaspa north of 40 cents as I discussed earlier. If you want to know how I found that 40 cents minimum prediction, have a look at my previous videos on Kaspa. I try and do weekly updates on it nowadays. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Your support is hugely appreciated. Subscribe if you're new, and you can follow me on Twitter in the link in the description for daily updates. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.